Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. So we're finally here. We're one night away from the best fight of the year, the biggest fight of the year. Usyk, Joshua. 2 Olympic gold medals, unified heavyweight champion, 1 belt away from becoming undisputed, and the former undisputed cruiserweight champion. And many say top 2 of all time in that weight division. Many say Joshua's the top 2 in the current heavyweight division. It's a big fight. They're both superstars in their respective countries. Joshua's superstar around the world. Usyk, superstar in Europe. There's no question about it. I gave my breakdown last night. I'm sticking to that. I still fancy Joshua. I just think the odds are stacked too much against Usyk. I just think goes to the judges' cards, even if he deserves a win. He's not going to get it, is he? Let's be honest. 70,000 at Tottenham Spurs ground. It's going to be very, very hard for him to get a decision unless he outclasses Joshua by so much, which I don't think he'll do. And also, he gets hit. He can do anything inside a boxing ring, but credit to him, he tries to entertain the fans. He tries to fight on the front foot, which leaves him at times susceptible to the right hand. When he fought Gassiev, vicious puncher in the cruiserweight division, he got buzzed early and caught early, and you can't afford to do that against Joshua, who's like 3 stone heavier than Gassiev, a bigger specimen, and hits probably almost twice as hard. If he gets caught like he did against Gassiev, it's good night. Now, don't be surprised if both try and target the body as well. I think Usyk will try and break Joshua down. I think Joshua will try and slow Usyk down. So it's a punch that no one's really talked about. But I expect both of them to utilise and use. But ultimately, the narrative for me is Joshua needs to jump on Usyk early. Because, like Lomachenko, Usyk is like a computer. He processes, he figures you out. And when he figures you out, like he did Gassiev, later on down in the stretch, he takes over the fight. He wears you out. And he knows that you can't keep up with his pace. Often in the second half of the fight, that's when he takes over. So for me, if Joshua doesn't stick it on Usyk, lean on him, rush him, put the pressure on, doesn't get him out there in his first 6 rounds, I think Usyk's going to start to take over. And I think it's going to certainly turn into a nightmare for Joshua, because Usyk will start to see everything coming. And everyone goes on about Joshua's second wind. And yes, he got it in many of his fights. Klitschko, even his last fight, Pulev. But this is a different animal in Usyk. A younger, fresher, fitter animal than them 2 fighters. And he gets better and better and better. And eventually, if Joshua doesn't get him out there in the first 6 rounds, which I think he's perfectly capable of doing, and I think he will do, I think he'll catch Usyk with an uppercut, a vicious uppercut, and I don't think Usyk's going to get up from it. He won't be used to that power. I mean, Chisora certainly didn't have that power that Joshua's got. But if Usyk can survive in the first 6 rounds, then I think he starts to read Joshua. Starts to time him and starts to beat him up with his uncanny, accurate punches. They're not huge, Wilder-like punches, but they're accurate, they're relentless, and they hit the target 95% of the time. And I think he'll start to overwhelm Joshua and catch him with punches that Joshua doesn't see for a late stoppage victory. I think Usyk can more than do that and beat up an exhausted Joshua if Joshua doesn't get him out there for 6 rounds. But I think Joshua's smart. I think he's built perfectly for speed. I think he's going for the knockout. I think he's going to try and time Usyk. He's trying to get him out there. Now, Usyk's a career heaviest at 15 stone 11, but it's a good weight. I think at that weight he still maintained speed, but obviously he had a bit of bulk, punch resistance, and a bit of sting on his punches as well. So I think both men with Joshua just over 17 stone have done the weight smartly. It's going to be intrigue. It's going to come down to speed, but ultimately Joshua needs to get on him, hurt him, take him out there within the first 6 rounds. Otherwise, I see Usyk just dominating with his left hand jab, and I think slowly but surely it turns into a nightmare for Joshua. And if the judges don't give it to Usyk, I think if it's convincing, there's going to be mass hysteria for a rematch. But ultimately, I think Joshua gets the job done with inside 6.